Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. I am here today with Mr. Sam Cochran from 7 Teller. How we doing, Mr. Sam?
What's up, dog? Hey, everybody. Music Lab World.
Living the dream, right?
Yeah, man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages, even the dogs. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Cochran is from Baltimore by way of Howard County, Maryland. It's Monday night, or is it Monday night? Tuesday night? Monday night?
It's Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah.
How we feeling, brother? How was the weekend?
The weekend was really eventful. I played a show in DC and just kind of gathered myself the next day and worked today, and time just keeps flying by.
Yeah, man. It's the end of March. I mean, geez, spring's around the corner. The
Yeah, dude.
crabs will start be getting on the plates.
Dude, it was so busy in DC. It was like there was a Nationals game, some other sports event, the Kite Festival, and the cherry blossoms were happening. So it took like we were like late to the venue, and traffic was obscene on Saturday. It was crazy.
I believe it. Well, you're used to, I
Yeah.
guess, the beach traffic, right, going down, or was that much growing up, not much of a destination for you guys?
No, not really. I mean, we never really went to Ocean City. We went to like North Carolina to go to the
Okay,
beach.
gotcha.
Yeah. Outer
So,
Banks.
yeah, man, go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
So, anybody else in your family musical?
No, man. I got some, like, my sister's like an artist. Everybody in my family is a little bit crafty, but nobody else plays music. I started teaching myself how to play music when I was a kid. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you played a song to like your mom or to your sister?
Oh yeah, I remember it clearly. I taught myself how to play the bass, and I played a Ramones song, which is really not impressive because it's just like three chords. But I was really impressed, and I went to go show my dad, and he didn't really care that much. He was like, he's not a Ramones fan either, so maybe that was it. But yeah, man,
Huh.
I taught myself how to play a bunch of punk songs and stuff like that. Um, yeah.
And playing guitar now for about 7 years, as we figured out. So, I mean, long enough to know something about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, 7 years straight now. But like I said, when I was a teenager, I played too. I'm not sure how long, but I think I first picked up guitar when I was in like middle school or something like that. Um, but yeah, I was just teaching myself back then, and know my way around a six string.
So, what was it about the guitar that kind of attracted to you over all the other instruments?
Um, well, I had this really old janky guitar that my mom had lying around. It was a 1960s Silvertone, which isn't nothing. It's nothing special. I guess they used to sell them in like they were like starter guitars in the 60s, so they're really cheap. But when I had it as I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. Like when I first picked it up and played it, and like figured out notes and figured out chords and stuff like that. Um, I just really like the guitar, and it was a little bit better for like songwriting versus like a bass. And when I was in middle school, I started writing songs. That was like my thing. Nothing, nothing that great or spectacular or anything, but that's when I took a liking to the guitar, was for like songwriting, I think.
So do you typically then write your songs music first and then lyrics, or are you more of a lyric first then music?
Either or. I mean, sometimes I think lyrics in particular just kind of jolt out at me sometimes, and I have to. I always my notes app is just filled with random verbiage, and sometimes I make something out of it, sometimes I don't. Um, and the other way around is like I'll hear a melody or whatever while I'm writing a song, and I have to write lyrics that fit the rhythm of the melody, and that's another thing that's a factor in it. But yeah, I like words. I like lyrics. I like writing cool lyrics. And I I have fun even if I don't use them for a song. I have fun writing lyrics down.
So you ever feel like, or have you ever thought about doing like a book of poems that you've written, or just kind of like lyrics down the road?
That would be really cool. Yeah, I don't think I really have enough content for that, but um, yeah, it's something to think about for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely, definitely. So let's talk about this documentary that you are a part of called "The Kids Are All Right." How did this start, and how did you get involved with it?
Um, well, it's really Jack and Glotta and Emily Bryant. It's really their baby. Um, they sent me I mean, I know both of them like kind of loosely. Not I'm not super close with either of them until recently. They emailed me and just said, "Hey, like this is our idea. We're doing this documentary about the music scene in Baltimore, and we'd like you to." They said like we want the documentary to basically revolve around me and my story. And at first, I was like kind of skeptical because I don't know. I didn't want them to uh, like. I didn't want to like have it be like a documentary about me because I'm not really like. I mean, I'm sure like I play music and stuff like that, but I'm just a musician that I'm not like somebody crazy famous or anything like that. Like I'm just a dude who gets to play music, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? But they really the documentary isn't about like me. It's about the broader scene as a whole, and really what that scene is like post COVID. And that's the only scene I've ever known because I started playing music uh, when COVID happened. When I started like really like trying to get out there when COVID happened. I mean, um, like putting all my resources into trying to be a musician. So that's most of what I know. And I've really seen, like just a lot of like crazy shit happen since then in the scene. And there's kind of like a class of bands that have all come up. And before we started the podcast, you talked about Natalie, Uncle Kunkel, Five Spot, and all those bands have really come up in COVID. And Natalie was playing before COVID for a while too, so she's been doing it even longer than all of us. Um, but yeah, like that's basically like my life. Is like those are all my friends, and we've all kind of come up together, and so that means a lot to me. And so that made me want to do the documentary a little bit more. And yeah, I really trust those. I really trust Jack and Em. I think that they've got a good vision. And uh, we had like the interview the other week, the initial interview with me, and they launched their Indiegogo, which is a fundraiser for it. And that's really important. Um, and yeah, I'm just trying to support them with whatever they need along the way. You know,
Yeah, and we'll put that link in the description. If you can send that to me, that would be great. Or I'm
sure.
sure I can find it too. But yeah, so any idea on a release date then?
it's a long project. It's not like they're trying to just do it and like it's a long project. Like they're planning on filming it for 2 years basically. Um, so the idea is to follow, like, they had their interview with me like the other week. Then the idea is to film over the course of 2 years and do some follow up interviews with me, like one or two, and just see, you know, basically like where my life goes in the next 2 years, and also meet all these other people that they're going to interview. They're going to interview a lot of people, so um, that's basically the whole thing. But they're trying to put a lot of time and effort into it. Sometimes I've been thinking about it. I don't know how they're going to condense 2 years of footage into like an hour and a half long film, but they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. Yeah, it's amazing what they can edit.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you a question about the kind of like the overall like touring schedule in this country and how for some reason it seems like Baltimore exclusively gets missed on a lot of tours. Do you notice that? And do you have any explanation for that?
Yeah, sure. Baltimore is like a really hard market to break into, for out of town bands, for touring acts. They call it a black market. And that just means that it's really hard to break into for out of town acts. But if a band can do really well in Baltimore, it's supposed to be a good sign. Um, and yeah, so, like DC's an hour away. There's many more people in DC, many more people traveling to DC for various things. It's a transient town, so there's just lots of people there. Um, so Baltimore just gets skipped over a lot because of that. And also, Philadelphia is right just north of us. So that's why you have um, venues like the Anthem in DC that have like shows every single week. And um, you don't really have that in Baltimore. You have the 930 Club in DC. You don't really have that in Baltimore. Um, we got like the Soundstage, but that's not as active. And um, we've got Pier 6 Pavilion. That's definitely not as active. There's a few shows there every year, but not that many shows. Um, but we have, in my opinion, a much cooler scene as far as like small venues and stuff like that. And Baltimore's got a lot of heart to it. So love Baltimore. And I love DC too. So
Yeah, I
not
mean,
to be misconstrued.
yeah, and in every like you're right, in every major city you kind of have like the levels of venues based on like their capacity. And I think you're right at like between the Auto Bar, between Cat's Eye, between Soundstage and between by 8 by 10, like that's a really good four bag of like great venues. Like talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I don't really know that much about Soundstage. I know that it's a little bit bigger and it's like, more for like larger acts. I don't really know that much about Autobar. I've been trying to play Autobar, but I'm not really in like the punk scene. But I'm trying to break in a little bit into the indie scene here. And I mean, I have a lot of friends that play the Autobar all the time, so um, I know that's like a legendary venue, and it's like home, second home to a lot of folks, and it's pretty much exactly like the 8x10, except the 8x10 is just in a different scene and in a different vein. And I know a lot about the 8x10, and I know a lot about the Cat's Eye. Um, but yeah, man, like kind of what I was when I was on the interview with the documentary, what I was kind of talking about was how the venues and everything here is kind of like a mom and pop run thing. In the case of the 8x10, it literally is a mom and pop run thing because it's, the um, there's a married couple that run it, Abigail and Brian, and they've been running it for like 20 years basically. Um, and I don't know what it's like at the auto bar, but the Cat's Eye is owned by a family. It's not like there's these massive companies that own the venue and um, don't really care about the local bands and stuff like that. And sure, like at venues that are owned by bigger companies, most of them are like pretty decent with local bands, but the difference is that like Abigail and Brian at the 8x10, like they really take pride in fostering young bands, and they've been doing that ever since they opened up the 8x10. They've fostered Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, and they fostered so many other musicians that have like gone on to do bigger things than the 8x10, but they started there. So many big acts used to play at the 8x10 all the time, not necessarily in Baltimore, but you know. So I think that's what's really cool about the music scene here, and in the jam world, a lot of it is in part due to the 8x10 and Abigail and Brian.
So why do you think it is though that it seems like most of the scene that you're a part of, it does kind of lean toward like the jam scene, which is more prevalent in like the Northeast, like New England. Why do you think that's kind of, become that what it is here?
Um, I think that during COVID, a lot of people started playing music. A lot of people had time to listen to music. I think that in general, jam band music like Grateful Dead or Fish or whatever, I think a lot of people started to get like they got a lot of younger listeners, some new listeners. Goose was really like blowing up during COVID, so a lot of people got on that train. Um, and yeah, I think that that's part of it. But there was also a scene here for a long time before COVID, and I feel like a lot of to be honest, like a lot of those like new fans or like the younger people, they don't really go. A lot of those fans of those bigger bands, as much as I like those bigger bands, a lot of their fans aren't necessarily the type of folks that are going out to support local music and stuff like that. Um, and I think that uh, people that have been going to the 8x10 since before COVID would probably tell you the same thing. Like, you know, like there's a great scene obviously happening, but um, it's still like, it's still a struggle since COVID. I mean, I don't know if I can really blame it on COVID. I'm not really an authority on any of this or anything I'm saying, but um, like ticket sales are like pretty hard, like all across the board and in Baltimore and other places, and I go to local shows all the time and I see a lot of people, and then I'll go to like a show with Lamp on a Tuesday, and because it's like somebody that people know, it's Lamp, and Lamp isn't even that big, but just because of J Rad and Tab, um, nothing against those guys. I love that band, but uh, I'll see all these people at the 8x10 on a Tuesday night to go see these bands, but I don't recognize a single person in the room, and it's not a big room. I don't recognize a single person because those fans aren't necessarily going out to support local shows, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Do you think that is just an economic thing, or do you think that's a time thing, or do you think it's just a level of importance?
Well, there's a variety of factors. I think it has to do with draw. Like obviously, you know, um, Lamp is going to draw because Lamp has these like amazing musicians in it that are veterans and everybody knows them and they're super talented. Um, Also, lack of like awareness, maybe given to give the benefit of the doubt. and also just kind of like hype. I think in the age of the internet, if um, there's not like hype around something, if people aren't like frenzying over something, like it's really hard to build momentum. Everything's viral, and I think that that translates not just to like your algorithm, but it also translates to business, you know. And so like if you're not blowing up, it's kind of like harder to reach outside of the circles of people that you already know. It's not like um people are like super interested in just going and seeing some band play and like looking them up and figuring out, what reading their bio or whatever, Um it's I just don't know if like there's that many people that are like maybe they would be interested if they knew more about it. Um but even then I don't know if there's that many people that are just interested in just learning more about the bands that are like within 50 miles of them.
Well, and one of the ways you try and do that is through social media. So how much importance do you put on social media from, your musical career standpoint?
I mean, social media is obviously super important. I kind of suck at social media. I loathe it. But um, I've done really good at it sometimes. Like sometimes like my page has really good engagement, but then I kind of burn out after a certain point from trying to keep up with the social media schedule, and then I fall off from posting that much, and then I lose all my engagement. And even though I have, you know, a few thousand followers or whatever, I'm sure that like 100 of those followers are even seeing anything that I'm posting. And uh, not to sound all doom and gloom, and I don't want to sound like I'm playing the world's smallest violin either. Uh, but it's just it's just the way the world is now. I don't know.
Yeah. It's really tough. I think with the internet and with social media and with just like, yeah, just the nature of the business, it's very hard to balance the art and the commodity of it. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
totally, man. Yeah, I mean, there's the commodity isn't. Yeah, I mean, when I'm having to like think about making a freaking reel or something, I get frustrated because I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, this has nothing to do with making music at all. But it's just what I'm subjected to. And I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom or whatever. Again, like sometimes I'm happy to like make reels, and I like editing videos on Premiere or whatever. Um, but yeah, like sometimes it's just a lot. Like it's like sometimes I just don't have the energy to or the bandwidth to keep up with it. I work a full-time job. I'm trying to write music. I'm trying to manage a band, trying to manage a tour, like whatever else. It's kind of it's a lot to keep up with. You
Yeah.
know.
So let's talk about that. To start off basically the year, you did 14 shows in 17 days, and you started your tour in Austin, Texas, correct?
No, we started in Indianapolis.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So talk about that tour. Talk about, any highlights. Talk about any lowlights.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I don't really know if I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to do any other like big like week or 2 week long tours this year. I'm definitely going to be doing like a bunch of weekends and stuff, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any more really long tours this year. But I had so much fun on that tour. That was the longest tour that I've done yet. Last year, last summer, we did one that was like 10 days. It was like 9 shows in 10 days,
Hmm.
and I think like this year I'm trying to do like the same thing this summer, but I'm just waiting for a few things to come through for that before I know that we're doing it. Um, but yeah, January was amazing. I assembled a new band for that, and the uh, the goal for me was to start playing new music. Um, Music in a kind of like a, I wouldn't say like a 180 from the music that I normally write, but at least like a 90-degree angle from where I was, and like really trying to put some intention creatively into making something that sounds a little bit more unique in the jam band world, in the jam band sphere, where, like, Fish is probably one of my favorite bands of all time, and there's nothing wrong with mimicking your heroes, but I'm just like a little bit tired of that. I'm a little bit tired of trying to sound like Fish or whatever. So um, I had some new songs. We spent the whole tour playing them, and at every single show, everybody in the audience was like, hey, like that was my favorite part of the set, and they were talking about the new songs, and like every single show was everybody's favorite part of the set. So it was really cool to hear that. And some of the highlights were Chicago. That's always fun. That was a really good show. A good turnout for that. We also, what are some other highlights? Florida was a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect in Florida, but Florida was great. Georgia was great. It was really cool being in Austin too. I love Austin, but we're there on like a weeknight, and it was really weird because like the venue apparently was closing for good the next day, and we were like the last show, so it was just kind of a weird vibe. But we had some friends down there that came out, and it was fun. Um,
What was the name of the venue?
the Coral Snake
Oh
is
yeah.
in
Yeah.
East Asheville, or sorry, East Austin.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean that was pretty much like the first half or so of tour was like going down there and then up through Florida and Georgia to get back to the Mid Atlantic, and then by the time we got into the Mid Atlantic, those like last four shows were just they were all just off the hook. We played Asheville, we played in West Virginia, we played in Richmond, and in particular, West Virginia was like definitely the musically was the highlight for everybody without question. It was awesome, and then the next night we played in Frederick, and that was probably equal to West Virginia, except we couldn't record the Frederick show, so we don't have any. Um, None of that is documented. We left it all on the stage, so um, yeah, but it was definitely a great time, and I have a lot of fun on the road, man. It's always fun being on the road. It's not easy. It's pretty um like you're stretched pretty thin to make it happen, but once you're out there and you're just going playing shows every night, it's just so much fun. I'm often much more anxious leading up to a tour, trying to make sure my finances are all good, or like after a tour when I get back, than I am when I'm out there in the van.
So, I mean, how much like lead up does it take to do a tour like that? Talk about the logistics side of it.
We start booking. I mean, it's kind of changes for everybody, but I mean, with depending on who you talk to and kind of like how many resources they have as a business. So I have an agent, and um, it's not like a huge agency or anything. So really, it's just like me and this one guy, and we're working on booking all the shows together. And he's basically doing it on his own with like with me, but it's not like he has a team. Some agencies have like these big teams, and might be a little bit easier to book, but that's more for like national acts and stuff. Um, so we started booking it probably like 6 months away, but you don't start off with 14 shows. You start off with one show, and you say, all right, how am I going to get to this? How am I going to get to Chicago? And then book all the shows around that to get to Chicago and so on and so forth. So I think we started booking it in the summer, like when I got back from the last tour. Must have been September then, or no, yeah, it was like August. It was like August, and um, the tour was in January. I mean, we had a bunch of shows lined up, but we didn't have the full thing booked with all. We were probably waiting for the last couple shows to come through in like October or November. I'm pretty sure. Like it kind of takes a while to get all those logistics lined up. Um, yeah,
And then are we staying at hotels? Are we staying at friends? Or like what was it, a mix of both? Or how we
it's a little bit of a mix. But yeah, I always try to stay at somebody's house. That's always the goal. And I think we stayed at an Airbnb when we were in Austin because we were there for a couple days. So I just got an Airbnb. Um, uh, uh, a new fan of ours was kind enough to get us a. He bought us a hotel in West Virginia, which was really nice.
oh yeah.
Um, and other than that, I'm pretty sure that we stayed at people's places the entire time. Yeah.
It is a weird occupation, isn't it? Where you on the road, you rely on friends' houses. It's, you know,
Oh, not even friends, man. Sometimes total strangers.
right.
That's honestly one of the coolest things I think. It's just like, uh, like getting, to be a guest in somebody's house as long as they're a cool person. But it's cool to receive the hospitality from people and just receive that support.
Mhm. So, can you remember your best meal on that tour? And where
Oh,
was it?
it was definitely in Austin, man.
Oh yeah.
No, maybe it was in Chicago. In Chicago, we got some Szechuan noodles at some place. It was the bomb. And when we were in Austin, we got some brisket, and that was the bomb too. So yeah, I'm a big foodie, but there's a lot of places where the food wasn't like anything crazy, like Florida or um um like West Virginia or whatever, like Indianapolis. It's not like I'm going out of my way to get the local cuisine or whatever. Yeah.
Do you remember where the brisket was in Austin that you got?
The place that everybody goes, I forget the name right now.
Oh, Franklin's.
No,
Terry Black's.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Terry
Terry
Black.
Black's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. Yeah, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about another way to kind of get your name out there. You guys put together this thing called TellerFest.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Talk about why we did it, how it came about, and what are the plans for the future?
Sure thing, man. So I started TellerFest in 2022 at this brewery, the Middle River, which is just like a suburb of Baltimore. And I was doing it with this guy, Fernando. He's a good dude. And he had the hookup with the brewery. Um, and it was great. But it was really hard to keep in budget, so I lost some money on that. But it was an amazing day. Um, I think I forget about that day a lot, honestly, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just like getting my hands really dirty and all this stuff. So it was kind of stressful in that sense, but um, it was a lot of fun. And the coolest thing about putting on an event, and this is just like a day festival, but the coolest thing about it is getting seeing like the different networking that goes on, and like knowing that this person is, like I really like this band. They're my friends, and now all these other people are going to get to see them maybe for the first time because I'm going to put them on the festival, and that happened in 2022 with a lot of bands. You talked about Will Gibbons. Um, that was the first time. TellerFest was the first time that a lot of people got to see one grand band play, and Will, of course, went on to go manage one grand band, and the same thing happened with Natalie. Her manager saw her for the first time at TellerFest in 2022. So that's really cool, man. I take a lot of pride in that. And I'm still waiting on my manager to come knocking on my door. I don't have a manager yet. I'm the manager. But um yeah, that's really kind of where like the COVID local scene post COVID kind of reared its head at first. And 2023 was a big year for a lot of people, but I took off from TellerFest just because of the financial setbacks of the first year and also just regrouping. And I started, I didn't really have a plan to be honest. And then uh, I was friends with Will Gibbons and I pitched the idea to him that we do TellerFest in 2024, but we do it in Patterson Park, which is like I live like down the street from Patterson Park and in Baltimore City, and he loved the idea. So, and that was a huge feat because neither of us had ever put on a festival in a city park before. So there's a lot that goes into it that like permitting and stuff like that, security, yada yada yada. So it was a huge learning curve, and we were just really gung ho about it, and we worked really hard to pull everything off. When we did it, we got the permitting and everything, and it was an insane day. It was just magical. It was like all the you know all of the local like that felt like not I don't want to say like it was like I'd reached my final form or something like that, but it was definitely like a pivotal moment. It felt like for everybody involved in the scene here, and especially for me. Um, and because honestly, like the leading up to TellerFest, like the rest of the year was kind of there was definitely some high points for the band, but there was also some low points. Um, and TellerFest was like um, really rewarding. Uh, so we had like all like we were like setting up like all morning, and it was just raining. It was disgusting, and it was supposed to clear up, but it just kept raining. It said that on the radar, it said that it was uh, not raining, but it was raining for like 2 more hours, even though it said that it wasn't. And then right when sound check was about to start, the sun just comes out, and after that the whole day was just a breeze, and it was amazing, man. This year I don't know, we aren't doing it at Patterson Park again because again kind of like the financial thing. I think last year we had a budget of like I don't know, like $1,500 or sorry, $15,000. That's a big difference. And um we were short of it. I mean, we were able to like pay everybody out, but it was definitely like pretty hard. And um so this year we're downsizing it, and I'm moving to a new location next to the Sound Garden in Fells Point. If you're familiar with that at all, there's like a parking lot back there, so it's going to be outdoors, and um, it'll be ticketed this time. It's not going to be free, but hopefully with the tickets and with me just downsizing it a little bit, it'll be a little bit more financially feasible, and we could actually stand to make a little bit of money off of it and still have all the fun that we had last year.
Yeah. Is it just a key of just getting a corporate sponsor to really help that, like, out, or is that not?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely like one of the goals. I'd be happy to send you my pitch deck for a sponsor. That's what I'm doing right now. Is trying to get. I mean, like earlier today, I was just emailing potential sponsors. Um, but even then, it's like, how much does the sponsor want to give? Trying to get the right. Really anybody. That's really the golden ticket, though. That's the golden question that everybody wants to know is how to get the sponsors. And I don't really know yet. I think last year we got a late start on the sponsors. We had a bunch of great sponsors. Don't get me wrong, but we would have liked to have more and maybe one bigger sponsor, but it didn't end up happening. But this year, I'm trying to get a little bit of an earlier start on it.
Yeah, surprisingly, banks are huge, huge, like fundraisers and like
Yeah,
corporate sponsors. For some reason, I met a guy who worked for Santander Banks, which is a bank based in Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Like his job was just like music. Like it was all
Hmm.
about music. So I think that's definitely a possibility. Like, even like your local banks. I'm trying to think. Do you have like a Bank of Baltimore or like what are your local banks down there?
Um, there's like one local bank that I've been reaching out to. There's CFG Bank. They
Okay.
just bought the arena recently, so
Oh, right. They were M&T, right? Is that what M&T was?
no, M&T is still.
Okay, they're their own.
Yeah, but it used to be Royal Farms Arena, and now it's CFG Bank Arena. And CFG is like one of the people that I'm trying to get because they do sponsor a lot of festivals and stuff like that in the city. So
Sure. Even Royal
yeah,
Farms, man, get some fried chicken, right?
that'd be crazy.
So yeah, so you kind of mentioned about Will Gibbons, but kind of talk a little bit more about like what he has really, other than TellerFest, like what he's done for you with your career.
He introduced me to my agent, which was really awesome of him. He and that's Seven Teller and One Gram Band were on the same agency, and we have a different agent. But he introduced me to Roger, and I work really closely with Roger every week. With Will, I don't, unless we're doing like Tellerfest stuff, I don't necessarily talk to him all the time, you know. Um, but he's a busy guy. He's a busy cat. He's working hard, trying to make connections. He's doing all sorts of stuff for the Ramble Festival. He's doing all sorts of stuff with the dome, if you know about that, the projection dome that he bought. Um, and it's just like, all around, like a really good guy. He really works hard and he really tries to pump people up and, spread the word about things. And I really, really appreciate that guy. He was at the first Tellerfest just volunteering and helping out, and I met that's when I met him. Um, and he's of course he's done a lot. He's like helped. He's done everything from Tellerfest to helping me hand out handbills at shows. So yeah, he's the man.
So you mentioned the Ramble Festival. Have you gotten to play the Ramble Festival yet?
No, no, no. I haven't played the Ramble Festival.
Okay. Maybe this year.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah,
Talk to Brick.
they announce it on Wednesday, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So so how like when you're playing live shows, like like set lists, is that important to you, not important to you? Like what's your level of importance with regards to set lists?
Um, I've gone through stages, but I've never been through a stage where like I write a set list and it's note for note or song for song. Like typically, um, especially when I'm on tour or if I'm playing in like a bar environment, it's not like a club. If we have a lot of time to fill, it's pretty loose, and it's like I kind of take a vibe check of the room before as I'm ending a song, and say, all right, this is kind of the vibe right now. I think that this song would really hit if we play this song, and I'll, make it audible to the band to go into that song. But that being said, it's not totally freestyled. Like, typically before a set, we'll like make a master list, sort of, or like at the very least I'll write down like the first few songs that I want to play, so we have something to go off of.
Favorite covers that you're doing on that tour or that you do regularly?
um yeah, one thing I did before that tour actually was I tightened up our rotation of songs like a lot, so we could really get some of the new songs tight and just focus on, like, I don't know, I stopped caring about playing different stuff every night, because at our level it doesn't really matter. Most people are just seeing you for the first time anyways.
Right.
And they aren't traveling city to city or whatever. And so we there's not that many covers that are in the rotation. But I love all of them. We play a King Giz cover that I really like, Trapdoor. We started playing Baby You're a Rich Man by the Beatles, and we jammed that out. I've always wanted to play that song, and that's really cool. Um, we play 2001, but we do it in like a different arrangement that's a little bit more um, like house music, I guess. So it's not like Fish, and that's really cool to do. Um, Everybody loves that song, so it's a really easy way to get like the crowd to like you. And yeah, we try to pick some fun covers. It really does serve that function for us of being like, just like grab, like, if we're in some place where not a lot of people know us, we're just playing to the room and it's a built-in crowd. You really got to do something to like just grab people's attention. So that's really where the covers come in the most handy.
Yeah. So, did you get to do Montegreen then?
Oh yeah, I went to Montegreen.
And what did you think of it? And was this your first fish festival that you've done?
Yeah, first Fish Fest I got to go to. Me and my girlfriend actually, we got hired to work in one of the like little convenience store tents,
Okay.
and I guess they had them in each of the. Did you go?
No.
Okay,
We
so
had friends that went.
yeah. So like they had like these, different camping areas, and each camping area had these little convenience stores and these tents, and we got to work at them. And so we got into the festival for free. We got paid to work, and I didn't miss one set. So I had a blast, man, and all of our friends were there, and yeah, it was a beautiful time.
That's awesome. And the weather pretty much held up other than the rain. What was it, Saturday night, right? It rained.
I think on Sunday there was like the threat of incoming rain, so they canceled the
Right.
show earlier. They played like an early set or whatever.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
like an afternoon set instead of like the yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if I yeah, well, I don't mind admitting this, but I didn't really get into fish until about 5 years ago. I think it was one of those things that like I just didn't want to like dive into it until I felt comfortable appreciating it. Because
yeah,
it's a lot, like there's a lot to not just the catalog, but I mean, their songs are so complicated and so, it's just it is. It's a real and you really have to like take some time. Like it's not just a passing fad with them.
yeah, totally. And yeah, you kind of either sink or swim with it. Um, but I mean, I didn't start. I mean, my first show was in 2019. I'm pretty sure. I don't think 18. Um, so ironically, I got into them after I got sober. I had listened to the Dead when I was like, since I was like a teenager and stuff, but um when I found Fish in 2019, that like totally changed my life, man. I love that band. And I think that, along with, like I was saying earlier, like during COVID, like 5 years ago or so, I think like a lot of people like just got like into different types of music all across the board, not just jam music, but a lot of people just had time to get into bands and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're right. I would love to see a show at the Sphere. That's, whether it's
Yeah.
Fish, whether it's Grateful Dead, whatever. Like, I think from what I hear and from what I've seen, it just looks like that's like the next level, right?
Yeah, that would be insane. I have a bunch of friends that have gone, but I haven't gone yet. I'd love to go.
Yeah. Is Vegas like a destination that's on your list, or you don't really, that doesn't do anything for you?
Not at the moment. Like I love going out west, but driving out to Colorado or driving out to Texas from Maryland is pretty hard as it is. To be able to drive out to California would or Las Vegas or something. It's not that much further out once you're already in
Mhm.
Colorado or whatever, but it is like just like another level of planning and um logistics that I don't think that I can really sustain at the moment with where we're at. But
Well, and just too, you'd have to the time that it would take too, you just
yeah,
yeah, that's the biggest thing.
that's really it. Like once you're out there, it's kind of sustaining. Like you make enough money to pay for gas, you make enough money to eat,
Yeah.
but the longer that you're away from home, the longer you're not getting any like real paychecks coming in, and that kind of unless you have a remote job, which most people don't, so it's kind of hard to make ends meet when you get back home afterwards.
Yeah. So I do want to ask you, off your first album, Seven, you have a song called Timmy Smalls.
Hmm.
Who is Timmy Smalls?
I don't know, man. Um, it's just a character, just a fictional character. That's really it. I don't really have uh, an explanation for that tomfoolery, to be honest. Uh, but yeah, it's a good song, man. We don't really play that anymore. And yeah, I'm really excited about some of the new stuff that I've been writing because it's not like that. It's not like nothing against the stuff that I've already written, but it's not the lyric material is much more uh it reflects a little bit more about like how I actually feel about things as opposed to like just like fictional stuff and
Mhm.
fun wordplay. When I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. I love fun wordplay, but a lot of the songs on that album in particular was a lot of fun wordplay. Some of it was mixed in with some like real characters and stuff like that. Like some of those songs are about some people that I know or like family members or something. But I feel like I just say that to say that I'm really excited about the new stuff because I feel like it's a little bit more raw and a little bit more honest from like a lyricist's perspective. You know.
Do you think that just comes with maturity then, or is it just where you're at in life, or what do you think that testament to do?
Um, I've, a little bit of both, I guess. I mentioned that 2024 was challenging at different points, and um, yeah, I mean, I had one of my band member. I've been playing with the same band members for like 2 years, and then one of them, said that he had to move on, and I um didn't really know how to take it because for the longest time I thought that this whole thing was like a shared creative vision, and that's always what I wanted. It's like between me and other band members, this is a shared creative vision, just like my favorite bands like Fish or you know whoever else. You know, um,
It's more of a democracy.
yeah, exactly. But really, that was just like an illusion that I gave myself because really I had always been the one that was most motivated to do things, and I was always the one that got stuff done. And um, it took me a while to sort of get over that here. Um, but once I did, because I was really attached to the idea of like having the same band members and it being a set thing, and I felt a lot of shame in like I felt like just like a lot of like fear of failure and stuff. But I got over that stuff last year, and um, I think out of that I became a much different band leader, but also I just became a lot more honest about what I want because I basically decided instead of it being a shared creative vision, it's my vision. It's always been my vision, and I just need to own that. And of course, I'm going to collaborate with people, and I'm going to listen to their vision too. But um, at the end of the day, like I'm, I'm the one that's like keeping the lights on or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm paying the bills and I'm, you know, doing all that stuff. So as soon as I started owning that, I feel like I also just got more honest with, like what do I really like if it's really all up to me, if it's non-democratic, like what do I really want to do with music? What do I really want to sound like? You know, and just those two questions alone, like, just led me down a different path than the music that I was making before.
Mhm.
It made me want to be a little bit more um, honest in my writing, and also just there's a couple bands that have really like changed my life in the past year or so that I've really um, dove in on. You know.
Well, and I think, these are moments like one of my favorite bands is Dawes, right? They have a
Hmm.
song that's called May All Your Favorite Bands Stay Together. And they've lost three band members since that song came out.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, the irony in that is, like they're still chugging along. It's just, that things happen.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta check them out. I haven't really given them too much effort.
They're amazing. They're really, really good. I would definitely recommend taking a deep dive with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, so you've kind of mentioned about new music. Anything that we can expect to be released, or what can you tell
Yeah.
us, or any new show or any shows that you can announce, or what do we got for tour schedule?
Let's see here. So, um, I can't really say when any new music will come out exactly, but what I can say is that I've been like this year I've been learning how to engineer and record stuff myself. So I'm like sitting on a bunch of music that's basically in the final stages, and then it'll hopefully go on to get mixed. I guess I'm hoping that I finish mixing by like I'm thinking in the fall I'll have some stuff come out. Maybe in the summertime. But I'm thinking in the fall I'll have some stuff come out. I'll have like a couple local shows. I'll have TellerFest, and I'll probably plan some releases around those big shows.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as shows go, yeah, like I'm working on TellerFest, and the date for that is September 27th, last Saturday, September. Um, and I'm working on trying to get out to Colorado in the summer again. Um, but I'm kind of in the middle of trying to like figure something out with one of my band members and possibly having to get another um possibly having to get a replacement so I can do touring some of these tours that I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
Um I know that at the end of July I'll be back in DC, and I have a drummer for that, so at the end of July I'll be going to like North Carolina and up to DC at the end of that month. And you know about the All Good Festival?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm
That's the second
planning.
weekend in June, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Our team's planning a couple after parties for those, so that's really exciting. I think that um, everything's pretty much set. Like we were playing with a band the first night, and then the second night we're having a bunch of sit-ins, and it's not announced yet, but some hopefully some like really well. I'll say this: like really big one member from one really big band at the festival is gonna play with us, and that's confirmed, and that's really exciting. And then hopefully we get a few more um, stars, if you will, to stop by and play some music with us.
Yeah. And that's at Merriweather, correct?
Yeah, that's the festival is at Merriweather, which is like halfway between DC and Baltimore, and the after parties are like 5 or 10 minutes down the road
Yeah. Gotcha. There's some
at
great,
Reckless Shepherd Brewery.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Our friends, the Fitzky brothers, they play there now, I think on Sundays, I think.
yeah, they play there pretty frequently. I think they play there like once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Those guys are good dudes too.
heck yeah,
So young.
yeah, man.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, Sam, this has been great. I appreciate you doing this, and just best of luck, man. Like, I'm so excited about this documentary. I'm so excited that you get to do TellerFest again, even though at a smaller scale, but at least to carry on that spirit that, and everything that you've kind of, created, that it kind of, gets to be continued. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm only human, and a famous Clint Eastwood quote: "A man has to know his limitations." Uh, so I kind of live by that, and I don't want to step. I'm a hustler, man, but I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I don't think I can really afford to this year, so it's all good, man. It'll be a great day, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and again, it's another example of how the Baltimore music scene, man, needs to be more known about outside of like the Mid-Atlantic area. So hopefully this is
Definitely,
another
man.
step in allowing that to happen.
Definitely, dude. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, brother. Thank you so much for doing this, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us. That helps the bands and artists like Sam. Also, check out our sponsor. That's RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR. Outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.